Julili. When the student is ready, Toastmaster Julili.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ever since I came back to live in Malaysia, I find that one of the most common complaints I hear about is how bad the standard of English is in our country now. Managers and senior bosses tell me they cannot find young executives who can write and speak proper English. And we've all read newspaper reports that tell us about unemployable graduates. Unemployable, imagine people like you graduating and being unemployable simply because of their poor grasp of the English language. Now, what can our young people do to improve their English? Of course, the easy thing is just join a remedial class, go for extra English lessons. But what if you don't have the time because you're busy working, you don't have the money, or maybe, especially if you're a rural person, you do not have the teacher nor the institutions available there to teach you? What can you do? I lived for 7 years in Vietnam and then Indonesia. And as you know, in these two countries, English is not as widely spoken as it is in Malaysia. So I was very amazed whenever I meet people who speak good English, and I mean really good English. So I make it a point every time I meet people like that, I would go up to them and ask them, where did you learn such good English? Now, a lot of the answers are quite expected. I went to an international school, I lived overseas for some time, so there's nothing surprising about them speaking good English. But occasionally, I meet people who just stump me with their answers. An example is a guy by the name of Trang from Vietnam. He was in his early 30s when I met him. And Trang impressed me not just with his eloquent English, but what was more surprising was the almost poetic quality to his sentences. So I asked him, Trang, how do you get to speak like that? And his answer to me was, Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan? Yes, because Trang told me he loves to sing. And he finds that Bob Dylan songs are really well written. They come across very simple language, very simple words, but it puts the message across very beautifully. And that was a few years ago, and this year, Bob Dylan was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature. So Trang really chose a good teacher. Now, the second person I met, or the first person I met in Indonesia who totally amazed me with his English language is a young guy called Joshua. When I met Joshua, he was about 20, 21 years old, studying in university to be an engineer. He's now a civil engineer. And what was Joshua's secret? Joshua spoke beautifully. He spoke better than a lot of the executives I used to train in Jakarta. And his secret to me was movies. He said, I watch movies. I love to watch movies. But a movie that would normally run for 1.5 hours, Joshua would take 3 hours to watch it. Because he would be watching it at home. And when he comes across a word or a phrase that he doesn't understand, he would pause the show, he would go Google about it, find the meaning, note it down, learn how to use it. And he's also learning pronunciation, learning how to speak, how the phrase is used, the cadence of the language. And today he speaks tremendously well. Now the last example I have actually happened here in Malaysia about exactly a year ago. I was helping out at MINPJ Toastmasters Club Youth Leadership Program. All of you know that program, right? And there were about 30 teenagers in the training. And a couple of brothers absolutely impressed me. They were both about 15 to 17 years old. So when I heard them speak, I thought, okay, those two are international school kids, must be from some rich family, going to some fancy school in the Klang Valley. But when I talked to them, I found out that they were from the Chinese school, the public Chinese school, all the way, even at secondary school level. So I said, no, I have never met any Chinese school kid who speaks the way you two do. So what's your secret? You want to know their secret? Cartoons. Cartoons. They watched a lot of cartoons when they were very young, and the parents noticed that they were speaking really beautiful English. They encouraged them to watch more cartoons, even bought good shows for them. And as they grew older, the parents enrolled them in online courses. So throughout their lives, they have been learning their English from international teachers. And to show you how good they were, or they are, one of them actually works as a part-time as a voice actor. So to be a voice actor, you have to have very good pronunciation, enunciation, and he was at that level to be able to do that. So there is a Chinese saying, or an ancient saying that goes, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I think in this day and age, it's a case of whether the student is ready or not, the teacher is there. Because we're living in the internet age where so much knowledge is available at just a click away. Your YouTubes, your music streaming, your video streaming, everything is available at your fingertip. So the question is the student ready?